So I'm sure you've heard about Baldur's Gate 3, a game that needs no introduction. You know, Game of the Year last year, blew up crazy for the content it had that it even got other game devs mad. Anyways, with all this fuss about Baldur's Gate 3, it was something I had to check out. At first, when it was getting praised, I didn't really care too much about the game. It just didn't look like my type of game. I was all about that 3D action RPGs, and well, this didn't really check that box. It had that XCOM turn-based style, and I don't know, I just couldn't really get into those type of games. But after constantly seeing so many clips and discussions about how you can literally do anything in this game, like anything. See a cute squirrel? Fuck that tiny shit. Let's see what happens if we put 20 explosives in one barrel. Yeah, that seems about right. And you can sex the bear. You can sex... Alright, you got me, so... Alright, first impressions. The character creator wasn't as deep as I thought it would be. For a game that I could do anything in, the appearance customizer bag wasn't that deep. Maybe I got a little spoiled from the absolute abominations I could create in Elden Ring and Street Fighter. But yeah, it's not a big deal though, so it's cool. The actual roleplay customizer was pretty nice though. With so many classes and subclasses to choose from, I wanted to do so many different builds and setups, but you know, you kind of have to start off with one. It's also really cool that you can change classes regularly, as it's not that expensive to change classes in the game, so that's refreshing. And as with all character creators in any game, my first hour was pretty much spent in this part, but okay, you know, yap, let's get to the actual game.
The critters start a duet of their own, attempting to
You get this top-down view for world exploration, and once you get into combat, you end up in a turn-based system, taking turns, hitting, defending, running, you know, things of that nature. I had to get used to this a little bit because I wasn't used to this style of games, and even off rip there were a lot of buttons I could have pressed in the UI, and I didn't really quite get all the mechanics at first, like how you only have one action and one bonus action at the start, and certain things either take an action or a bonus action. And the one thing that I especially had a hard time getting used to was the freaking disengage. The amount of times I would just try to walk away from someone and they would just stab me in the back, and I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? And bro, it was like right there. Even when I learned that I had to use that to run away, I still forgot a lot of the times before trying to escape. But after like an hour or two of playing this game, you definitely get the combat mechanics down, and when you finally understand what you're doing is when it gets really fun.
Now throw him back at him.
Dumbass.
Oh, you hit him.
I didn't think I could get this stressed playing a turn-based game because I kind of had all the time to think about my actions, but all that extra time to think is actually what caused me more stress, as you can think of so many different ways and actions to choose from, and you don't really know what's optimal. Then you're like, ah, fuck, I should have done that last turn. So it was like pretty nerve-wracking doing like charisma checks when talking to people and like waiting for the dice to roll. Or when you finally close out a really long drawn out battle with all your party members extremely low, that satisfying feeling, that dopamine rush I get, is almost the same as beating like a decently difficult boss in like Elden Ring or something. I will say, however, that sometimes these fights can get a little ridiculous and have like 20 plus things all trying to take turns, and holy fuck does this take long. I could start a new career, start a family, grow old, decease, be reborn anew before it gets back to my turn. Very rarely does it get bad like this, but my god, when it does, it can feel like a slug to get through. But one of the best things about this game is the freedom of the terrain you have that you can use to your advantage. I didn't realize this until my boy Alex came in, slapped the guy up, and I was like, oh yeah, his turn's over. But then he just runs up and pushes the guy off a cliff with his bonus action. Then a fucking shining light bulb appeared on top of my head. It was like Alex just showed me a whole new world, a whole new way to play this game. And so we started abusing the fuck out of this mechanic. Exploding chandelier, done. Stuffing 20 explosives in a barrel to obliterate a boss, light work. I'm telling you, I feel like I didn't even scratch the surface with the combat system in this game, but there's probably way more things you can do, along with like utility spells that just change the whole way you can take on fights. Anyways, let's move on to what drew most people into this game. Baldur's Gate 3 is basically Dungeons & Dragons the video game. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically a tabletop game where there's one game master that kind of dictates the game and what you can and can't do. Baldur's Gate 3 is specifically based on 5e, which is Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. And for Baldur's Gate 3, the game master is basically Larian Studios. We're kind of bounded by what we can and can't do from them, but honestly, they give us a lot to work with. Your story can really diverge from the choices and decisions you make, like whether you want to kill off a main cast member or deciding whether to execute a village. They have repercussions later on and later relationships, and I was really surprised by some of them. Like for example, in Act 1, we saved the tieflings in the druid camp And then in Act 2, when exploring the Shadowcurse lands, we actually see them again in a safe area called the Last Light Inn. And they have extra quest and shit, you know, like the blacksmith who can help Karlach with their burning heart issue. And at the end of the game, we can acquire them for help for the final battle. But if we didn't make that huge decision to save them from the start, then the other two consequences that happened after probably wouldn't have occurred. However, I will say, like most illusion of choice games, most of these actions don't necessarily affect the overarching endings of the game. It just pretty much changes how you get there. Like the example I gave, sure, it made the run very different, but in the grand scheme of things, whether I got their help or not in the end didn't really change anything in like the big picture. It was just cool side content that I got to see. Okay, I'll get back to this later when I talk about the ending of the game. Okay, there are relationships in this game. There is a multitude of the main cast you can choose from to befriend, romance, or just not care about. It's up to you, honestly. I chose to romance Shadowheart in my run because, well, she's got issues and I could fix her, I swear. And yes, you can fuck who you romance. Like as far weird as you can possibly think of. Yes, I'm showing him on the screen for a reason. And I know, I bought the game because I could sex the bear. But fuck, man. The druid that we were supposed to save and keep in our camp to build a relationship, yeah, he fucking died before I even got his chance. So I couldn't even accomplish my end goal. But it's alright. I got it in the next one, guys. Trust me. And you know the characters don't necessarily have to be in the common romance options. My boy Alex in here was getting freaky in some brothels.
All right.
You will learn things you wish you could unlearn. And the lessons will be pure tactile sensation.
Grunk, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Grunk.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Tell me, do you want some role play? An unusual sensation?
I want his
The
legendary
legendary-
Give
Mazel
me the
Bars and
legendary
love
love
trick.
trick. I came all this way.
Would you pretend to be Drizzt Do Erden? Who the fuck is that?
It's not only Dwergar who can enlarge themselves.
He's gonna have the giga penis.
Gods, yes!
Incrementum incredibili.
I'm just gonna be limping after
Excavate
this.
the very depth.
No.
As the night dances on.
Wow. Sex speed run. Grunk did it.
But yeah, it's pretty sick. A lot of options. And you know, the better relationship you build with a character, you learn more about their past, dive into their character arcs, which give you more quests, more options, more choices, more everything. And yeah, I will say this game has some silly ass shit going on with this sometimes. Whether it's the physics or just how things happens. Get up! Get up!
I don't think you got him up.
Why? No, I've only completed one run and gone the spoiler warning here. I don't know how many endings there are, but this is one of them. And if you don't want to know, skip to this part. So I got the ending where I turned myself into a mind flayer and we killed the Netherbrain and saved Baldur's Gate. Hooray! I know there are 3 different options with 3 different endings in this one part, but even then there's still so many ways you can get here. Like you could have chosen the Emperor to be the one to take the powers. I don't know how that would go. Or even fuck the Mind Flayer and go with the get the Yankee route and side with them. But like I said, I think ultimately no matter what you do, you still can only really have like 3-ish true endings to the game. Even though this is the case, I really do think that every playthrough is still unique because from what I saw, there are quite a few different ways to get the final choice. So even though the endings are similar, it would feel very different every time. And realistically, I never really believed in the whole 17,000 ending things, if that was even true to begin with. I knew it was just going to be like slight variations of main endings because you cannot possibly concoct 17,000 unique endings like that. Fuck you. Sorry, that's for the motherfuckers who skipped to this part. Anyways, back to glazing this game. There were so many builds to mess around with. The game actually feels like a sandbox with an insane story to back it up as well. Now I did the honor mode with some homies for our first run, so there was no save scumming or second chances, meaning if we fuck up, then we fucked up, and we just gotta keep pushing. I honestly really like this style because I remember a previous unfinished run with my boy Ace, and we would be like, yo, you wanna try this? If we don't really like the result, we can just reload another save. But the one save honor mode adds a lot more stakes to your decisions, so I really mess with that. But I will say, some of the bosses were some bullshit in honor mode. Bosses get this thing called a legendary action, and fuck, some of them were stupid hard. I don't know what I expected from the hardest difficulty in this game, but I feel like, wow, this game would have been genuinely so easy if they didn't have this special mechanic built for them. But hey, I mean, we still got through the game, so that's all that matters. So I've poured about 160 hours into this game and have only completed one run. Okay, so part of the reason I finished this game 10 months later is because I did a co-op with some friends, and we started this run in December of 2023 or January 2024. I kind of forgot. Near the peak of the game of the year discussion though, but we just completed it recently because, well, it was kind of hard to keep getting us three together at once to play it. We'd either be doing other shit, and sessions would either be like back to back for like 10 hours straight or super spread out like a week or something in between. And sometimes those breaks would be so long that we kind of forgot and we're like, oh yeah, we should probably finish this game soon. And after like 5 or 6 months, we finally did it. This is good, however, because we've been playing it as the hype for this game has slowly died down, and we ended up finishing the game at a time where we were out of the new game release hype for it, and we kind of just experienced it with no bias.
Oh my god, he gets a cutscene.
Oh my.
Are you sure?
And with that, I can finally conclude that this game is amazing. There is a reason why I won Game of the Year. Sorry, Spider-Man. Baldur's Gate 3 was something that I didn't really think interested me that much, but man, did it blow me away. You were cool too, I guess. If you had some doubt about this game, like, oh, it's not my type of game, I don't really mess with D&D like that, or it's turn-based, it's not for me, I still advise you to at least give it a try. And if you're still not messing with it then yeah, the game is not for you, that's cool. You can go ahead and get your under 2 hour Steam refund and move on. But to me, yes, 10 months later, this game is amazing. You should definitely play it. Try to get your ass on. We still need to finish our run, man. That's it. Thanks for watching. I wasn't planning on doing a video on this game, so I didn't really have that much footage on it. Like, I was barely scraping through the clips I had. So yeah, I had to kind of use some clips from other people. I watermarked the channels on the clips I did use of them, so check those out. But if you want to see me play games like this, I am planning on streaming soon, so follow me on Twitch and make sure to subscribe to the Homeboys NPC Tube gang. Join our Discord as well if you want to chill and talk with us and give us like recommendations for games and shit. And yeah, that's pretty much it. See ya.